So if you're under 30 or you're not considering Reno in Northern Nevada, you might be missing out on one of the best places to build your future. With no state income tax and a growing job market and instant access to world-class outdoor adventures, Reno's quickly becoming a top choice for young professionals, couples, and families looking for a better quality of life. But is Reno really the right move for you? So whether you're single, married, or you have kids, there's some key things you need to know before making the jump. So let's break it down for you. So today, as always, we are talking specifically to now under 30 or close to 30 younger people today. And if you've been watching our videos on the regular basis, we brought Sydney Lessinger on, as always, who definitely qualifies as someone, by the time they see this, probably be 24 years old at that point. Been in real estate for a couple years now, been living here for her whole life. Brother's 28. She knows the under 30 and what it's like to be a young person living in Northern Nevada. So we wanted to talk about that today and give people some information. Because again, the biggest thing we talk about with being a young person anymore is what?
Cost of living. It's expensive to exist at all anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking about money, but especially when you're trying to start your life as a young professional, you're really thinking about money a lot. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is your housing affordability. That is one of your biggest expenses that you will have at this age. Hopefully you don't have a car payment anymore and all you're worried about is housing, but none of us are perfect, so we're trying. But
right. And it really becomes whether it's a mortgage or rent.
Right.
Now, I think most people that are more your age and your friends, I mean, pretty much almost all of you are renters at this point.
Yes, we rent. And this is an apartment statistic. So you can find cheaper housing, you can find more expensive housing. Right. But for a one-bedroom apartment here in Reno, you're looking to pay about $1,400 to $1,800 a month. Obviously, more or less depends on where you are and what you want your housing situation to look like. I mean, I know for me, I have a friend who moved here from Montana, which is where I went to school, and she moved down here a year after I moved home. And she came here and rented a bedroom out of somebody's house, went from one house to another one, and is now in an apartment. So she's rented in multiple different places.
And what was she paying when she was just renting a room?
The first time she was paying, I think, about $600 a month. Right. It was a little more expensive at the next place. And then now I think she splits with another person now. They pay, I think, $1,800, but I could be wrong.
So I tell people, when you have a one-bedroom apartment, it's tough if you're just two roommates.
Yes.
If you're in a relationship, you have a second person, and now you can get into one bedroom, and you're sort of splitting those costs, two income, one rent. It's not too bad. Yeah. I know if there's going to be people that are in a multiple, like renter or just friends, you're almost better off finding a single-family home. Your brother got real lucky with this. We have fortunately bought him a home 5 years ago before prices went really crazy and before the interest rates went up. And he was really great because he was renting out two rooms. Yep. I think one was $650 at one point, then it went up to about $750.
Yeah, it gets really difficult to have something that's affordable without roommates anymore.
And this is the thing that when we're talking with younger people, because we've helped plenty of people in their 20s in the last year buy real estate.
Absolutely.
Typically, though, it is two people. Mm-hmm. And typically, they usually are getting a little help from the family.
Yes. And what we call them is they are dual income, no kids. They're DINKs. So dual income, no kids. If you do have kids, obviously, I mean, we have options for you. So if we're moving here from another area and planning to rent a home, single-family residences typically will be more expensive to rent for a two-bed, for a three-bed, anything like that, so that you can have your family and your dog and just honestly have the life you wanted when you moved here. Will be about $2,000 to $2,500, depending on where you are. Might be more, might be less. You might find some place that has a great deal, but...
And this goes back, there are ways to make it affordable. And we always say for younger people, that is the number one piece. You've got to find a way to get your rent or your mortgage in a situation that's comfortable. Like I know my house I live in used to be one of my rental homes, and it's a 4-bedroom house, 2-bathroom. It would be easily rentable for 3 people.
Definitely.
And I know when we were renting it out last, it was around $2,700, $2,800. So it'd be about $900-ish a person. And if you're splitting utilities 3 ways, you're not talking more than maybe $150 each, because a lot of the bills are quarterly. You know, if you're doing internet and a few other things, you can really make your housing situation pretty good. If you want to live on your own,
that's
a little bit of
a
different animal.
difficult.
It's going to be a little more challenging at first, but if it's a good way to get started and start building up some cash reserves and doing those things. And so when you're that younger person thinking about moving here, or maybe you grew up here and you're now trying to move out of your parents' house, that's kind of usually the starting point as far as that stuff goes. But some other pros for people, again, if they're moving here from California, one of the biggest pros is, and you could tell them after you went to college in Montana, is...
We have no income tax. So when I was going to school in Montana, I was making, I think it was like $22 an hour at Home Depot there locally. They have sales tax, so I wasn't seeing all of that.
Not sales tax.
Or income tax, my apologies. They have no sales tax in Montana, so it was flipped.
Right.
And I noticed it in my paycheck. It felt different because I've worked in Nevada prior to moving to college, so I had kind of seen it, but I didn't really realize the difference until I moved back doing a similar dollar amount job, keeping way more of my paycheck.
Right.
So the only problem with Nevada, though, is we do have sales tax, which is at, I think it's 8.2, 8.6.
Yeah, I think it's pretty average as far as what you would see around the country. Another reason for young people, jobs.
Yes. Our job market here is booming. We have a lot of jobs coming in. We have a lot of companies coming in. And we have what I would consider not necessarily the normal jobs, but common jobs. Our education system always needs teachers. Our healthcare system always needs new people, blue collar work. And then if you're in more tech, logistics, we have a lot of people who move here from California that work remotely, all kinds of different job opportunities. I mean, if you're interested in the gambling scene, there are tech jobs within that work with the casinos. So
it's definitely been, I mean, we have very low unemployment. I think people can make a pretty good income here for what the cost of living, and we've done cost of living videos. And really the biggest thing, which we already mentioned, is the housing piece. Get the housing piece figured out. The rest of it, we're pretty comparable. Yeah. I've got friends and family live all over the West Coast. And, you know, there's things that cost more at other places and things that cost more here. But I just think if you're looking for opportunity or you're bringing your job with you, it's a great place for young people to get started. I did it here. Now, obviously, the climate was different when I started. You know, I came here to go to college. So I've lived here since I was 18 years old. My first job and salary was $26,000. Right. So again, housing was cheaper. Everything was cheaper. But, you know, starting salaries right now are a whole lot more than that. More importantly for young people, when I was young, different things I was looking for in a city than I am now. Social life, nightlife. I'm an in-bed early person. I am not out and about very often anymore past 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. But you are.
Yeah.
What can you tell these young people? Because I am not an expert. We brought some people on. We've done videos about bars and restaurants and things to do at night.
Yeah.
And what can you tell them?
Yeah, those videos are definitely helpful if you're just trying to get integrated into the scene. Yes. But other than that, I mean, our downtown and midtown is where you're going to find most of the time people in their 20s, early 30s. That is where we spend time. That's where we hang out because it's the most walkable portion of Reno. We're not a walkable city. You do unfortunately need a car if you're going to live here. But midtown and downtown, for the most part, there's a big core group of places, bars, restaurants, places for entertainment, axe bar. You can literally go in there and throw axes. The Whitney Peak Hotel. So if you're looking for a climbing wall, all right in that same area. No crazy Uber expenses. Get down there, get home safe, but you can walk that entire section. And for people that are married, maybe kids, you know, we want to let them know what the social life and what things could be. Because again, I had kids in my 20s. A lot of our friends, your brother's one of his best friends already got kids. He's in his 20s. So you're seeing that as well. Mm-hmm. What do you tell people? I mean, I know my feelings on there's a million things to do for young people here. All over the place. Yeah. There are obviously lots of AAU or summer sports clubs that your kids can join. We have sports year round. So if your kids are interested in sports, we have it all. Outdoor recreation obviously is very, very easy to do here with your kids. And then there are a lot of kid-friendly places. It was formerly Jumpman Jump, but we have a trampoline park here. Right. We have the Coconut Bowl, which is basically a massive kids entertainment center. It has a bowling alley. Not going to lie, I might be in my 20s. I still go and bowl there. I do like being there. We have go-kart places. I mean, we have Discovery Museum. Yes. We have kid things to do all over the place. The Animal Ark North of town. Zoo out in North Valleys is a great place to take your children. What's the website we always send people to that they can see where a lot of activities are going on? It is visitrenotahoe.com. Right, which that'll give you a lot of the summer event schedule. Yes. I would say from about April through October, there's a million events to go to, whether it's the balloon races, you know, rib cook-off. There's lots of things, especially if you have Food Truck Friday. Yeah, Food Truck Fridays. Yep. Lots of activities going on in the downtown area. Always things happening downtown. They will literally block off the street in downtown. So you're walking up and down South Virginia Street. We have all sorts of flea markets, all sorts of little pop-ups. I mean, seriously, go on that website all the time. There's always a concert. There's always an event. Lots of fun things to do. And again, it doesn't matter which way or the other. Now, if you're thinking about moving to Northern Nevada, do me a favor. Click the link in the description below. We get you a copy of our free buyer's guide that'll get you some great information for things that you need to know to get your journey started to Northern Nevada. If you move here by yourself, single person, don't know anyone, where do people go? Honestly, I actually had to ask about this in terms of if I'm trying to find somebody to date, where do I go? Spend as much time as you can in Midtown, make as many friends as possible, and go from there.
Right.
I've also talked to a lot of people that say, you know what, I give up on trying to meet somebody in person because I'm scared of talking to people in public, and they do the online dating.
Right.
I'm not a great person to ask about that. I've been single for a while now, but that's what I was advised anyway.
I just know, like I said, is someone who moved here when I was 18.
Yep.
You know, I had a great time from 18. By the time I was 26, I was already married and kids. So I got out of that social scene relatively early and did more of the adult things.
Yes.
But I just know there's always been a lot of fun things and good things to do here, which leads us into a lot of things you can do that don't cost a lot of money, which is get outside.
Our outdoor recreation is unmatched in terms of convenience to where you live. You can get to it so quickly here. And one thing, again, talking to one of my friends, does it cost money?
No.
Certain places, depending on where you go, like the ski resort, yes, it's going to cost you money. But if you just want to go on a hike, go on the hike. You show up, you park, you get out of your car, you start walking. There is no pass. There is no Nevada wildlands, nothing.
Well, you can be in Sand Harbor. It's $10 in the parking lot if you're in Nevada driver's license.
Exactly. And 80% of Nevada is public land. So if you dirt bike, if you mountain bike, if you do anything outside, you can go and do it without worry of having to pay for something. Certain parks, you might have to just as, you know, an entry fee or parking. But in terms of having a pass to access it, you don't really.
And again, it's year round.
Yes.
Summer, winter, you know, between the beaches and the lake, which you can do things up there year round between being in town, just parks.
And we just did a full video about all of this.
Yeah.
So if you want more detail on being outside, we'll link the video below.
Yeah, there's some great things to do outside as far as that stuff goes. Now, another thing for people that are moving here that might have young kids, so maybe you're in your late 20s, early 30s.
Yes.
Is another thing that could be potentially expensive. Like it's one of the other things we want people to know about is childcare, daycare. I know when my kids were little, I had it as part of my job. So I had a fee for daycare, but I got a big discounted rate because I worked at the company that was on site. So I didn't pay a lot. I know now it has gotten dramatically more expensive. And a lot of it's based upon if you have an infant versus a 2-year-old versus 6-year-old versus an after-school program. Right. Those costs can vary quite a bit, but it is something that people need to think about.
So full-time for a toddler will be about $1,800 to $2,200 a month. For full-time, I am physically taking my child to a daycare. They're going to be there all day.
Drop them off 5 days a week.
Exactly. Full-time. For an infant, it will be more expensive than that. It will be rough estimates depending on where you go, but you'll be a couple $100s to a few $100s more. And then obviously if you have one kid, multiple kids, full-time, part-time, in-home versus not, there's a lot of variability on that. Right. So if you have specific questions, it's definitely better to ask us. We can point you in the right direction. And
yeah, one of our clients, they own a daycare facility, so we can get really specific numbers. And another thing that sometimes can be hard is just getting in.
Yes.
So if you know you're moving here, but you're not moving here for a month or two, we might want to start getting you on the list to get in. I know there's becoming more access, but we can always call one of our really good clients who, like said, their family, I think it's 2 or 3 locations. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of that that's available to people. Another question that we get for people, and again, I got here for school reasons, went to the university here, which is an amazing place. And I think a lot of people that go to UNR or University of Nevada, they stay here, but people want to know about the other things. So they're calling about elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. And so again, if you happen to be a younger person that does have kids, you know, they might not be the age that they're going into school, but if you're buying a house, and I always tell people, ideally, you're going to stay in a house 8, 10 or more years. You might have a 2-year-old that eventually is going to go to that school. Right. And what do we want to tell them? What do they want to know?
So if you're going to live in the Reno-Sparks area, Washoe County is all under one school district. So whether you live in Reno, South Reno, North Reno, Sparks, Spanish Springs, it's all one school district. So everything is under one blanket leadership, I guess, for lack of a better term. Yeah. And if for whatever reason you are hearing things about certain schools in certain neighborhoods that you're not liking very much, potentially moving to another area or looking in a different place. But if for whatever reason the public school system seems scary to you and you have the capabilities to afford charter schools, private schools, we have so many options. And I wrote it down. It is washoeschools.net.
Well,
that is how you find all of the school information. It is one massive website. Has all of the school ratings, all of the information, everything that you could need to know is on washoeschools.net.
We have a lot of clients who are teachers as well. And I always think, you know, talking to a principal or talking directly to a teacher that teaches in these schools is a better way. Now, when we talk about some of these areas surrounding Reno, so if you call about Reno-Sparks, but you end up in Fernley, Dayton, Carson, Minden, Gardnerville, those are different school districts. Those are different areas. There are websites for all of those as well. Yep. So again, if we end up in these more outlying other cities, we can get you the information as far as that stuff goes. So as a young person, we're trying to give them an idea that someone who grew up here, was a young person here. Yep. you as a young person that's already here with a bunch of other young people, what do you feel about like your opportunity, your future, like living in Reno for the long haul? How do you feel about that?
It is a little bit intimidating, I think, for me, because I've lived here for so long, looking at the housing prices. It is more expensive here than people realize. But if you're coming from, say, California, for example, you're looking at our prices going, oh my gosh, really?
Right.
Because I think rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in San Francisco and LA is upwards of like $3,000 to $5,000, depending on what part of the areas you're in. And $1,800 a month doesn't sound so bad when you come here, but I think it's starting to trend in a more positive direction as more housing is becoming available in affordable price points. So I think just hanging in there for a little bit longer. You might have to rent for maybe a year more than you thought you were going to, but it's happening. Keep saving your money. You'll get there.
Well, I tell people, you know, just because you have to rent in a certain city, if you want to start investing, I'm big on trying to help young people get their game plan together. You and I are working on it as we speak. On trying to build up their long-term wealth and their long-term finances. You might have to buy a rental house in another community so that you can at least get in the game of owning property, investing in the stock market, doing all of those things. And I just think what I've seen in my adult life in the 35 plus years living here is the growth, the job opportunity. I just think raising kids here, I just think those things have continued on to be a good thing for people.
Definitely.
So I think as young people looking for a place to maybe start their life and stick it out for the long term somewhere, I think Reno's a great place to explore all the options, think about coming here, and then again, reach out and ask us the questions. If you're looking for the perspective from someone young, we have young people on our team and in our office. We have people like myself that are older that, you know, I spent my last 35 years here and I can tell you what I think is available. And again, I want people to realize, yes, it is a little harder for young people to get started, but it's not impossible.
No.
It is doable. There are plans we can help you put in place, you know, with financial planning and other things to help you be able to get started here. And I always say, if you can build your career and make your living as a place that's kind of expensive, when you get 30 years down the road and now you have a house that's worth a lot of money, doing that and doing all the smart things, you're going to win at this game. So I just think for younger people, hopefully this is giving them some encouragement, some, you know, thoughtful information that will help them.
Well, and I know for me, when I graduated college, I was really, really excited to come back.
Right.
After living in a different state, in a different city, seeing what else there was out there. I mean, I don't know how many people have been to Montana, but it is a completely different beast up there. And when I graduated, it was 24 hours and I was driving back to Reno. I was so excited to come home and start my career, get going in life. And it was all I wanted to do. And there was no place I wanted to go other than here.
And I just think people, like you said, they still kind of loop us into being like Las Vegas or being a casino town.
Or that we're some old retiree neighborhood. We're not.
It is totally changed.
We're not.
It is a great option for people of all ages. And so hopefully that's all for them. Thanks for coming on as always. And again, reach out with your questions. If you're enjoying the content we're putting out each and every week, check out this video we did right here about the best bars and breweries in Northern Nevada.